Without self-acceptance, self-esteem is impossible. Whereas self-esteem is something we experience, self-acceptance is something we do. To be self-accepting is to be on my own side, to be for myself. Self-acceptance refers to an orientation of self-value and self-commitment that derives from the fact that I am alive and conscious. Some people are self-rejecting at so deep a level that no growth work can ever begin until and unless this problem is addressed. If it is not, no treatment will hold, no new learning will be properly integrated, no significant advances can be made. An attitude of basic self-acceptance entails the declaration, I choose to value myself, to treat myself with respect, to stand up for my right to exist. This primary act of self-affirmation is the base on which self-esteem develops. It can lie sleeping and then suddenly awake. It can fight for our life even when we are filled with despair. When all we want to do is lie down and die, it can impel us to keep moving. It is the voice of the life force. It is selfishness in the noblest meaning of that word. If it goes silent, self-esteem is the first casualty. Self-acceptance entails our willingness to experience, without denial or evasion, that we think what we think, feel what we feel, desire what we desire, have done what we have done, and are what we are. It is our willingness to experience rather than to disown whatever may be the facts of our being at a particular moment. The willingness to experience and accept our feelings carries no implication that emotions are to have the last word on what we do. I may not be in the mood to work today. I can acknowledge my feelings, experience them, accept them, and then go to work. I will work with a clearer mind because I have not begun the day with self-deception. Often, when we fully experience and accept negative feelings, we are able to let go of them. They have been allowed to have their say, and they relinquish center stage. Self-acceptance is the willingness to say of any emotion or behavior, this is an expression of me. It is not necessarily an expression I like or admire, but it is an expression of me nonetheless, at least at the time it occurred. If I am thinking these disturbing thoughts, I am thinking them. I accept the full reality of my experience. If I am feeling pain or anger or fear or inconvenient lust, I am feeling it. What is true is true. I do not rationalize, deny, or attempt to explain away. I am feeling what I am feeling, and I accept the reality of my experience. If I have taken actions of which I am later ashamed, the fact remains that I have taken them. I do not twist my brain to make facts disappear. I am willing to stand still in the presence of what I know to be true. What is, is. To accept is more than simply to acknowledge or admit. It is to experience, stand in the presence of, contemplate the reality of, absorb into my consciousness. I need to open myself to and fully experience unwanted emotions, not just recognize them. Accepting does not necessarily mean liking, enjoying, or condoning. I can accept one is and be determined to evolve from there. It is not acceptance but denial that leaves me stuck. I cannot be truly for myself. I cannot build self-esteem if I cannot accept myself. Self-acceptance also entails the idea of compassion, of being a friend to myself. Self-acceptance does not deny reality, does not argue that what is wrong is really all right. It wants to understand the why. It wants to know why something that is wrong or inappropriate felt desirable, or appropriate, or even necessary at the time. We do not understand another human being when we know only that what he or she did is wrong, unkind, destructive, or whatever. We need to know the internal considerations that prompted the behavior. There is always some context in which the most offensive actions can have their own kind of sense. This does not mean they are justified, only that they can be understandable. This has nothing to do with alibying, rationalizing, or avoiding responsibility. A good friend might say to me, "This was unworthy of you. Now tell me, what made it feel like a good idea, or at least a defensible one?" This, too, is what I can say to myself. Just as when we need to reproach or correct others, we should wish to do so in ways that do not damage their self-esteem, so we should bring the same benevolence to ourselves. This is the virtue of self-acceptance. Accepting does not mean we cannot imagine or wish for changes or improvements. It means experiencing without denial or avoidance that a fact is a fact. Even though you may not like or enjoy everything you see when you look in the mirror, you are still able to say, right now, that's me. And I don't deny the fact, I accept it. That is respect for reality. A mind that honors sight honors itself. We are not moved to change those things whose reality we deny. What about those things we cannot change? Well, when we accept them, we grow stronger and more centered. When we curse and protest them, we disempower ourselves. If we cannot accept a feeling or a thought or a memory, we should accept our resistance. In other words, start by accepting where we are. Be present to the now and experience it fully. If we stay with resistance at the conscious level, it will usually begin to dissolve. When we fight a block, it grows stronger. When we acknowledge, experience, and accept it, it begins to melt, because its continued existence requires opposition. We typically encounter two fallacious assumptions when people have difficulty with the idea of self-acceptance. One is the belief that if we accept who and what we are, we must approve of everything about us. The other is the belief that if we accept who and what we are indifferent to change or improvement. But of course the question is, if we cannot accept what is, where will we find the motivation to improve? If we deny and disown what is, how will we be inspired to grow? There is a paradox here. Acceptance of what is the precondition of change, and denial of what is leaves me stuck in it. Nietzsche wrote, "I did it," says memory. "I couldn't have," says pride, and remains relentless. Eventually, memory yields. I can rebel against my memories, thoughts, emotions, actions. I can reject rather than accept virtually any aspect of my experience. We can be as frightened of our assets as we are of our shortcomings, as frightened of our genius, ambition, excitement, or beauty as we are of our emptiness, passivity, depression, or unattractiveness. If our liabilities pose the problem of inadequacy, our assets pose the challenge of responsibility. The greatest crime we commit against ourselves is not that we may deny and disown our shortcomings, but that we deny and disown our greatness because it frightens us. Without self-acceptance, self-esteem is impossible.